All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome once again to Stock Analysis Friday. Great to have everybody here. Of course, today is March 22nd, 2024, and a lot to cover. Market's down a little bit today. Bitcoin's coming off. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin in pretty good detail here coming up. And also, too, of course, stocks you want to look at. I do want to cover silver, gold, and a USO, which are the ETFs for some of the major indexes out there dealing with, for example, gold, silver, and crude oil. All right, so go ahead and start typing your stocks in caps. And the purpose of Stock Analysis Friday really is for us to take a look at key markets and stocks that you may be anticipating buying or you may be in. So when you type your stock selection in, go ahead and be sure to tell me if you're already long, thinking about it, already short, etc. And that way it helps me kind of know how to address it. All right, so let me go ahead and dig into some of the administrational items to talk about before we get going. First thing I want to talk about, of course, are the risks involved in trading. Like I always say each and every week, all right, without that risk, there is no opportunity. So in trading and in life, that's the way it works. But you want to know what the risk is when you take the trade. You want to kind of anticipate the possibilities of a negative outcome so you can protect yourself. And this is where risk control comes into effect. First way to do that, of course, is fund your trading account with money you can afford to risk and put in the markets. That's step number one. And then step number two, if you're trading on your own there, make sure, all right, that the trades you take are basically ones that you know how to enter, how to exit. We can help you with that. We have a complete trading system, of course. And then also, too, run everything by your financial advisor to be sure that anything that we recommend here today is suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation. They certainly should. So make sure you talk to them before allocating any real money. And then we're also got some great books on risk control that includes calculations on how to actually calculate your trade size, also known in the industry as your position size, on each and every trade. And that's really important because you do want to know if the trade does not work out, what's the maximum amount potentially you could lose. And it's important to always keep your risk to reward in your favor 2-to-1. So that's all covered in the books. And if you need help in that area, I'll show you those in just a moment. All right, and then finally, past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, and we deal in a realm of probabilities when we enter the markets. So you could have a really good way of picking stocks or a great trading system like ours that gives you an edge, but it doesn't mean you're going to win on every trade. All right, so again, you have to protect yourself, and this is where risk control, I think, is a vital part of being a successful trader in the markets. All right, now the two books I'm alluding to are there on your screen right now. Money Management for Traders, second from the right, and A Trader's Money Management System, both great books. The one on the left is a deep dive, very comprehensive, risk of ruin tables, whole 9 yards. The book on the right really is more specific on how to implement a risk control program into your procedures or trading rules right away. So you might want to check that out. I've got a great book published by McGraw-Hill on the Elliott wave. So if you're new or kind of want to learn about that, that's a great book to go. I've tried to strip away a lot of the complexities that are involved in the Elliott wave. And that's why the title has the word simplified in it. All right. And then my book, brand new book, The Art of Trading on the Far Right, being published by Wiley Publishers, is coming out this year. It's going to be, I think, one of the best books I've written. We're incorporating a lot of what we're seeing in the markets now, along with our new software that's come out since our original book came out in 2008. It's going to be about 450 pages. I'm packing a lot of information in there. So you definitely want to go ahead and check that out. It's coming out this year. You can pre-order that as well. And I'll put some links at the bottom for that in the recording. And here's our trading software. Now we have software that also specifically deals with risk control. So whatever method you're using out there, if you need help with risk control calculations, I recommend the risk to reward calculator. It's a great piece of software that simplifies the process and gives you, based on the amount of risk you can take on that trade, gives you the trade size. So it's really kind of a cool device. And it's very simple, works independently of any trading platforms as well. And then I've got a great record keeper called the Trader's Assistant software. And this basically what it does is you put your trades in there and it calculates your performance, gives you your percent you should risk on each trade. So we use that on all styles of trading, whether we're day trading or position trading. We have scanners, and we, of course, have pattern analysis and different software that we use in order to take a look at the markets. And you'll see me use that today, but we have more exclusive videos, and I'll put those in the link below as well. And then finally, right now, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment and just giving us a like on the YouTube channel there, or if you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever they allow you to do there to give us a like, please do. It helps the subscriber base, of course. All right, so let me come out of here. All right, and I'm going to dive into the charts. I'm going to go full size in the charts now. And what I want you to focus on this is I'm just going to go over a little bit about what you're looking at here. Here's our scanners running up here at the top. We're not going to be using those today because you're typing in symbols, which I'm going to get to in just a moment. On the far left, we have 3 charts loaded. This is a 60-minute chart for the short-term analysis, daily chart for intermediate. And then, of course, finally, we have the weekly chart for long-term, okay? So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Now, and it helps us time the market. That's why we do it that way. I'm going to start out with Bitcoin on all 3 charts. And this is the BTC USD, which is the normal Bitcoin contract. It's coming down. So very quickly, Bitcoin's still coming back, all right? We've got a red PTF here, all right, a little bit lower coming. We're in a short-term target, but we're watching to see if this turns into a long-term pullback. We expected at this time, based on the information that we have in front of us, that Bitcoin could pull down as low as 59,728. It's already in the target over here, so it's kind of done what it needs to do, but our indicators are saying it's not done yet. So we're still coming down into the target. After we base sometime in this area, we expect it to go back up and reach new highs eventually. So I think it's a good time to accumulate Bitcoin. Of course, you know, always use money you can afford to risk when you do this. Don't bet the farm, and check with your financial advisor to see your situation and be sure you can do that. If this develops into a more severe correction, then there's another target sitting lower than this, and that's between 55,773 down to 44,670. And this would be a fib retracement based on a longer time frame, which would be the daily. So we've got 2 fib retracements working out here. We got one based on the shorter term chart, which is our 60-minute chart where every price bar represents an hour. And so this is kind of micromanaging the trade for a short-term correction. If it continues on down and develops into a longer correction and this turns red, then we're going down further. However, I will say this, that the probabilities after whatever correction develops here is over, the market should return and make all-time highs. And so we're bullish on Bitcoin and looking at this pullback as an opportunity to trickle in. So keep that in mind. Now there's the halving coming up and things like that. And normally after the halving, it takes up to 90 days for Bitcoin to start its next big move up. So you got some time to trickle in here, but it is an opportunity to get in. So I just want to cover that. And that would be the same for GBTC, which is the ETF for Bitcoin as well. And, you know, there's Coinbase. I can look at that later if you want me to look at that. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into what you all want me to look at here. Let me back up here for a second and just see where we can get started here. And it looks like Stuart is with DWAC. DWAC. All right, so this is done incredibly well. Very quick jump up. You know, we basically had you in before the jump, which is great. All right. So now what do you do with it, right? Do you hold it? Do you think about, you know, selling out of some? All right. Well, right away, I look at the longer time frames and everything here on this chart here is all green. So more highs are coming. This PTF indicator here is one of ours that is really terrific. Basically, when it's green, there's a 75% probability, whatever the highest high in that green area, which is this price sitting up here at roughly almost 60, There's a 75% probability that eventually it will return and move higher. So that's a good sign. However, on the 60-minute chart over here, okay, we have a red one. And so it's the volatility, the correction is not quite over. So there's a 75% chance we'll head below the 32 mark before we head back up. So if you don't care about having to wait a little while before it moves up or go below the 32, which is 8 points away, guys, all right, before it goes higher, then you can stick with it. Otherwise, not a bad point probably here to take some profits off the table or even sell the position and get back in maybe when it's during below that 32 mark, okay? I would not go in it now because of the red PTF on DWAC on the 60-minute chart. All right, thanks, Stu. All right, now, Lowell, how are you, Lowell? Okay, let's take a look at SMCI. SMCI. This is another one that's done really, really well. All right, couple things on this, all right? Right away, I'll take a look at the chart on the far right, which is our weekly chart over here. And look at that, okay? Really powerful wave 3 and Elliott wave, not over yet, green PTF. Whatever pullback we have here should be followed by more highs. So that's the probability. I can't always say for certain, but as certain as I can be, I can say that. All right. All right. So more highs coming. Looks like here, all right, we've had a little bit of a high here on the 60-minute chart. So we may be going into a major wave 4. So this high here, target zone, is probably a 5 represented on this particular chart. That's the way it's looking kind of right now. So 3, 4, 5, which means that this, in terms of Elliott wave, these numbers are all Elliott wave. So if they sound kind of mysterious to you, that's why they're not considered. A lot of people don't know how to count the Elliott waves or don't even know about them. So it is a form of technical analysis and you have to learn about it. So this is a wave 3, which is one of the most powerful waves. Looks to me like we may be now going into a wave 4, and wave 4s are the profit taking wave after wave 3. We do not yet have a red owl here, so that needs to go red to eventually confirm it, but it could certainly do that as it unfolds. So kind of interesting. No longer any green PTFs, they're all yellow, neutral. And so let's draw a fib retracement of where this possibly could be going here during its corrective phase. And for this, I'm going to bring it right up from there. So we're pretty close. All right, 38 to 61.8%, could go as low as 609 low on this one. So if you don't mind holding it until that area and waiting for new highs to come, fine. Otherwise, if you wanted to exit, if we start going down a little bit further, you may want to exit and then get back in after the correction. So long-term bullish here. Short term, we are looking at a situation where probably it's going to come down a little bit. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But long term, I like it. Okay, SMCI is not done with its bullish move. Now, let me just say one other thing here. When I look at a lot of charts today, I'm seeing a lot of this type of configuration. We're going into a correction now, but the long-term charts are extremely bullish. So a lot of people are calling for a major correction in mid-April. And I don't see it. I just don't see it right now, okay? I do see it later on, maybe at the end of the year, bleeding over to 2025, but I don't see it right now. The charts are just too bullish. Yes, we're getting a pullback. We're due for a pullback. We've had a big move up since October, right? On most all stocks. So we're due for some profit taking, which is the normal breathing of the market. But I don't see a major change yet in the overall trend. In other words, I don't see a bear market yet. I am anticipating one later this year, but not yet. All right, so that's kind of where I'm standing on that. And these stocks back me up. All right, NVIDIA, let's take a look at that bad boy. Everybody knows about this one, right? All right, so this one's moving up too. Right away, my eyes go to green PTFs all across the board. So right away, I know no matter what kind of profit taking or pulling back I could see in the market at any time, I'm pretty confident we'll get more highs. I don't even think we're going into yet a major profit taking situation on NVIDIA, because the short-term charts with the green PTF indicating that short-term we should go higher than the high. So I don't think it's going, I don't think wave 3 is over yet on the actual daily chart. Certainly not over on the weekly, but I wouldn't expect that. So I think you're okay. We're starting to see a little bit of bearish divergence building. You can see that. What that means is when the market is going higher, the owl over here is not peaking anymore. So that's a little bearish divergence inside wave 3. And if we bring this up here, we really have not had a major pullback yet, even on the 60-minute chart. So I am thinking here possibly more highs, then a pullback, and then even more highs. So I see no reason to get out of NVIDIA. Now, if I was trading this short term, I'd wait for a pullback on the 60-minute chart. So I wouldn't go in now, but if I wanted to get one more leg up, I'd probably wait for that. If you're in it, hey, just stay in it. You know, you can put your stop at one of our pyramids that dictate where we put our stops right here. That's these triangles right here. This is part of the ART software system. So if you put your stop down here, 1 tick or 2 ticks below that triangular base there, that would put you at 771 roughly in a quarter, so under that. So there you have it, okay? So you're watching that, fine. I wait for a pullback on that before going in, but then you certainly should be okay to go in. And I probably use the 60-minute chart on the video for that. All right, let's take a look, Lowell, at yours here again at TLRY. Okay, so this is springing off the bottom. Now, very interesting on this one here. We've got a green PTF, and we've had it for a long time on the weekly chart, okay? We've got it now on the 60-minute. We've got neutral here. Let's take a look and see what's happening on this. So we've had quite a long basing period. And as you can see, and we'll move this chart up here like this and magnify it up. So as you can see, we've got a pretty nice price bar off the bottom. But one price bar doesn't mean much. We have to have some follow through. And so I'm a little reluctant to say, let's go into this. But I'm not reluctant to say, let's put this on a watch list. So the first hurdle is to get above here, okay, and then here. And then we have to take a look at the short-term charts to see what kind of bullishness we're seeing coming into the market. So let's put this one on a watch list for now and let it prove itself and come back next week. All right, ACB, let's take a look at this one. All right, I'm going to try to move as quick as I can through these. All right, so ACB, very similar situation, a little bit more bullishness in the price. If we open up the weekly chart here, you can see this one had a little bit higher situation because what it did here is it took out this level here. So I like that. But again, one price bar does not mean a new trend. Could certainly start. Now we also have red momentum down here. So this is red still. I'd like to see that go green, which would indicate more follow through as well. We're getting the follow through in the shorter time frames. Let's give it a little time. You know, we had a gap up as well. If you can see that on the 60-minute chart, we may pull back a little bit and try to fill that gap. So I'd give it a little more time. So on this chart here, I like the green here. Here's what I'm waiting for. You technically, even though you have a nice sharp move up here, it's kind of a weak definition of a trend. You need a pullback and then higher highs. The definition, that's the definition of a trend, right? Higher lows and higher highs. You really haven't had enough of a pullback. You had a little bit here, all right? But I'd like to see a pullback, make sure this bottom holds, and then a resurgence forward. That's what I'm waiting for, all right? So let's, again, bring this back to next week and see how it's progressing along, all right? Good ones, Lowell, in that you're catching them early. Let's just give it a little bit more time and put those on the watch list. Thank you. All right, Bradley, how are you? All right, FFIV, let's see what we're cooking on there. Considering buying, thank you for telling me that, good. All right, so if we, let me just slap these indicators over here down. So we have a little more real estate over here. Okay, so now Let's take a look at the weekly chart. So I like to look at this to get kind of the overall picture of what's going on. And on this particular situation here, thank goodness I have the PTF green. Otherwise, I would have a hard time kind of figuring out what the target is, all right? Because it's kind of a roly-poly stock. So based on this indicator here, which is our PTF, and don't forget this has a 75% probability, it's calling for an eventual break above here. Now, the PTF does not tell us when that's going to happen, nor does it tell us the volatility we're going to experience for that to happen. So you could have a big downdraft. It could be green, even though the market's coming down. But eventually, if it stays green, there's that 75% probability it's going higher. So the PTF is a great indicator, but you don't use it you don't use it by itself. You have to see what kind of price configurations are unfolding to make sure there's any correction over and so forth. All right, so we definitely got some movement up. You got a nice pyramid that formed here. This is green, this is green. So this is definitely bullish, okay? No question about it. Now, what you also had here, and I'm gonna open this up a little bit more. This is another thing I like here. Do you see this first move off the bottom? Remember I was talking about a pullback and then higher highs? So now you've got a more significant higher highs and higher lows. Notice the pyramid here also captured it, higher highs and higher lows. And then it took out some of the pyramids here that were on the way down. So that's all bullishness, okay? That's really a good sign. All right, so now the question is, where do you put your stop? And should you wait for a pullback before going in again? All right, so first thing we want to do, let's go back again here and open this up. Let's go ahead and put a horizontal line. I meant to do this when I had the chart open before. There's our target. That's the best I can give you on this one, Bradley. So target's what, 250, and we're at 190, not bad. If we put our stop under the 180 mark, all right, you're about 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. I kind of like to have it 1 to 2 in my favor. So it's come up a lot. I think personally what I would wait to have happen, we've got bearish divergence building here, higher highs, and the momentum is not making new highs. So we're probably going to get some form of a pullback at some point here pretty soon. So I would start drawing in fibs, and let's see if we can get the market to come back enough to really get in at a better price to increase our risk to reward. So I would put this possibly on a watch list, and let's wait for the pullback. All right, and that's just me. I mean, you can do whatever you want, of course, but that's the way I would approach it. All right, let's take a look at Marvel here for you. I'll tell you, with the stocks today, thank goodness we're getting a little bit of a pullback because most of them were due. Very tough to get in and chase markets, right? All right, so Marvel came up fairly close to its target on the weekly. I think, we looked at this before. We no longer have a green PTF, okay? Notice the PTF turned yellow. So when it goes from a green to a yellow, what it's doing there is it made new highs, okay? And the highs exceeded what the PTF said would happen. So now if the momentum is not strong enough to keep that PTF when it makes the new high green, it will turn yellow. So it goes to neutral. Now we still have a green one on the daily. So that's a sign that after this pullback, we're going higher. We still are coming back down here. Notice the red PTF on the 60. So I'm not going to recommend this one, but you can keep an eye on it because after this pullback here, we could make new highs. So again, this is another one you could put on a watch list and keep an eye on it, okay? And then your final one up here is Lulu. All right, let's open that one up here. And this one here, all right, just about scraped the target. Look, boom, big move down. It's not done yet. We got a red PTF over here, big gap down. So now we're going to watch and see. All right, you're kind of a little bit in interesting territory here. Let's see what we've got cooking there. You certainly got a very strong owl on this last move up, but probably, well, that's an interesting one right there. So very interesting move up. Let's take a look and see the height of that owl there is 96.26. I'm looking on another screen. And the height of this one is All right, so you've got a higher owl. So it is still in wave 3. And so you could probably keep this, but I would not buy it yet because Lulu is still coming down. The 60-minute chart has a red PTF indicating that this free fall is not over. Okay. All right. So you can watch it. I'm not going to put that one on the watch list because I think that one's got quite a ways to go. All right, let's keep going here. Eleanor, how are you? Watching. Okay, great. Let's take a look at ALL. All right. So, as you know, I'm not one to chase markets. And so this one, Eleanor, has moved up so much on the daily. Is it going higher? Yeah, the PTF still, the probabilities of higher highs are there. We may be getting into a hook, a last movement up. So this kind of is what happens here. And this would be a minor 4-5. So you're kind of getting a last hook up, and then it's going to go into a profit-taking situation. So at this particular point, I think it's too late. Okay, I wait for the profit-taking to come in and then see if that PTF is still green on the weekly chart, and then go ahead and go in after the pullback. Okay, I wouldn't chase that one. BROS. Now, I got an email from somebody on Stock Analysis Friday, very nice email. Basically, what he likes to come here and do is, his broker calls him just about every week recommending certain stocks. And then he brings them here for a double check on the technicals. So brokers usually look at the fundamentals and the story behind the stock. And that's what they, are looking for buys and sells on. Very rarely do they use technicals. But what's nice is when you come here with a possible opportunity from your broker and we check it on the technicals, if they align, it can be a very powerful trade. If they don't align, then you wait. Okay, maybe it needs to pull back further. Maybe it's not done correcting. So things like that. So bring them here if you get a recommendation. All right, back to your stocks here. All right, so this is there's not much history on this. Let's open up that weekly. You can certainly see limited history. Makes it very difficult to get any type of Elliott wave count. But we can take a look at what the software is telling us. So we're starting to see bullish momentum come in. This is neutral. All right, we've got the pullback. So we got higher highs and higher lows on the weekly. Looks like, let's for fun do this. Let's take a drawing tool and go with the horizontal line at some different price configurations. So we haven't broke above that. I'd like to break above that. I'm going to move this down. We have broken on this. So you could take a early entry. You got to put your stop pretty low down below the pyramid here, or even at the bottom. So that could warrant an early entry. Let's see if the shorter time frames back that up. And they do. Okay, so they certainly have come up. Now, the only issue I see here again is we got bearish divergence. We do have a nice drop this morning on it. So it's this week. So it's kind of pulling back a little bit. But after this pullback, it should go higher. So let's let it come down a little bit more and put this on the watch list for next week. All right. I'm thinking I'm kind of liking it, but I think I want to make sure this drop that we've incurred here is over before going in. It's definitely giving us a great opportunity to get in at a better price. I just want to make sure that we would be getting in early, even on the weekly chart. So I want to make sure that we're not getting in too early. Okay. So let's come back to that. All right. SQ. So bring that one back, Eleanor, next week. All right. SQ. Let's take a look at this one. All right. So let me just pull up the weekly chart. We've looked at this one obviously before. All right, so this one now, a little follow through here. We're getting we have a pyramid to the upside. And because this seems like it may be a wave 3 movement down, very large owl, the only thing we really want to try to make it to is a fib retracement target zone, which I draw it on here last week. All right, so it's kind of moving up, targets 127 to 182. We're at 81. All right, so if you put your stop below the pyramid and get in here, you 2 to 1 will take you pretty firmly into the target zone. So, okay, all right, that's not too bad. I'd like it a little better than that, but that's not too bad. All right, and are we chasing it at this point? Well, we got green PTF on there, so higher highs coming. We've had our pullback. We've got our last move up here. we have bearish divergence on this. So let's see what the high of that pyramid is. That high was 80.29. So that was kind of down in this area when we cleared that top here. So, all right, I'm not going to recommend it because of a couple things. One is we have bearish divergence on the daily chart. The second one is if we had a 2-to-1 risk to reward on the weekly, I'd say probably yes. Okay. So it's close, but I think we can find better. Okay. So I would probably not do that one. Okay. All right. And I don't think I put it on a watch list because it looks like it may be just too close to the target at this time. All right. Let's see what we've got here. All right, Jim. How are you, Jim? All right. Let's take a look at COWZ for Jim. And he's been long on this since February 5th. All right. So obviously he's done very well on this. All right. Got in on this congestion here. And so we're close to the target here as well. All right, so Jim, the target on this is 58.22 to 69.40. We've got green PTFs now on all time frames. So I don't see a reason to get out. All right, your stop is fairly far away on pretty much all time frames. Here, here, and here. So that's going to give you enough room for a decent profit taking before going high. So I don't think I would go into this if you were new, but for Jim, who's already in it, stay in it. Okay. Now we haven't gotten a hook, and Jim, I know you're familiar with the hook. So probably that next move down will create the hook, and then we'll take a look at it again. So bring it next week, and we'll see how it's doing. It could take a month or so before it gets back to higher highs if it starts to correct. But I see no reason to sell out of it. Okay. All right. And that is KOWZ. All right. VOO. And VOO, he's been in since November, so he caught probably most of the run on this. And VOO even made newer highs since we looked at this last time. Okay. So that's kind of what we're anticipating for a correction. Again, if you're in this, there's no reason to get out. Green PTFs now all across the board. So I think more highs are coming because you got a green PTF on the 60. Again, probably due for a little bit of a hook. I'd say the next high, we could be near the top of wave 3 on the daily, and that's when you probably are going to want to get out. Okay. At least scale out with some. All right. Don't go in this if you're new here. If you're not in it, don't go in it. What we're doing here is taking a look for Jim at stocks he's already in for what to do. Again, very similar on VO. You got VOO and VO. So again, more highs coming on the 60-minute chart. Stay with it. And we have bearish divergence on the daily. So what I would do on this one is when this PTF and the other one too turns yellow, all right, start ratcheting up your stops on the amount of shares you want to take out, because then we're going to go into a profit taking correction that could be quite significant on the daily chart. And even though there's more highs coming on the weekly chart, you'd have to, go through the pullback, and you may not want to do that on this nice profitable run. So I kind of keep your stop at the pyramid here on the daily for now. Wait for this to go yellow, and then go ahead and start ratcheting your stops up. All right, so let's keep going here. Al, how are you? WULF. Almost wolf. Wolf, kind of, without the O. All right, so this is nice one, Al. I know you are looking for breakouts, and I'm liking what I see. Green PTFs across the board. You must have found this with the scanner, because this is exactly the kind of thing we would look for. Green PTFs, bracketed market. Let's open up first the weekly chart. All right, kind of reminds me of Bitcoin, right? Up and down. All right, so green PTF still is in place. So after the correction, which I think could be close to being over, we would expect more highs. I don't think it's broken out enough, Al, yet, because we have two. Look at this. I'm going to open this up. So this is kind of a neat thing that the art software does. So the art software, notice these are blue in color, these triangles. So the red one here, all right, has been negated, voided. When prices go above a bearish pyramid's flat part of the triangle, it voids out. But now what it's doing is forming an up pyramid here, because the points always point the direction of the trade, and a downward here. So we've got a bullish and bearish one forming, which is basically isolating the channel for you. Okay, it does a good job on that. So when prices get over the point, if it keeps going, this one will turn green and this one will go away. All right, if prices back down and come down here, this one will turn red and this one will go away. So it's doing the hard work for you of letting you know kind of the breakout when it's significant, and it's when those pyramids turn color. The bias on this, based on our indicators at the bottom here, especially the green one here, are indicating a break above. Okay, and let's verify that even by looking at the shorter time frames to see if they're in conjunction, and of course we know they are because the green PTFs. So I'm liking this. I think it's too early to get in on a position trade of significance on the daily chart, but I'd wait for the pyramid to turn on the weekly chart to make sure we get out of this channel. You don't want to get in to a trade and then be stuck in a range, especially the small cap stocks, stuck in a range for, 6 months. That's you don't want. And that's the risk you take going in now. So you want to have a breakout. And I'd wait for those pyramids on the weekly chart to verify that. Okay. All right, let's take a look at your next one, CLSD. All right, so CLSD, I'm going to open up. All right, so this one's broken out better. Okay, notice this one here. And the reason I say that again was grab a horizontal line, all right, and put it at the pressure points on the resistance levels. And we popped above those, right? So that's a good sign. We got a green pyramid trading point already dictating an entry. We've got the owl to confirm that. This is yellow, so it's neutral. It's not red anymore. It was red here, all right? So it's not predicting any more lows. All right, and as it moves up with some velocity here, it may turn green again, okay? So for right now, the pattern on this is okay for a long trade. So I'm liking that. It is also backed up here on this particular lower time frame and the daily. Now, the next question is, where is it going? So let's see long term if we can get any. So we don't really have enough history to get a good Elliott wave off this. So the best I can do for a possible target is that. Okay, so maybe $3.42 up to $5. We're at 177. That's almost a double your money. And that's not too bad. All right. So, okay, so we've got a target. And where are we? Okay, so we're here and here. All right, so on this 60-minute time frame, what we're probably looking at is a 3. I think 4 is over and we're on our way up here. Okay, so if we take this and draw a fib extension, we're looking at a target for wave 5 between 206 and 243. And then we're probably going to get a significant pullback to, somewhere in the $1-ish range, 150, maybe 140 after that high. And then it should continue possibly to go back up. So I would do this. I would make a decision right now. If you're going to go into this, are you in it for the $3.42 to $5.09? If so, you got to put your stop pretty far back on this pyramid. Okay. If you're just going to take this short term and ride it up to $2.06, maybe you get 243 and get out, then you would use that short-term chart. All right. So there is a trade here. There's definitely a trade. I'm not going to recommend it because it requires a little specialty on navigating the short-term chart. And you can do that, Al, because you have the software and you have the data. Okay. So that's a possibility, all right, for you. All right, MTC, let's take a look at that one. All right, So let's go back, and this one, not a lot of history on this one. So let's see about the breakout. Okay, so we've got kind of a breakout forming here. All right, this pyramid could turn green after today. Takes a good 3 price bars after. It has to have 3 price bars after the bottom. So on the 4th price bar, it could turn green here since it exceeded the tip. All right, so that looks pretty good. We've got some resistance sitting up here on this large red price bar to the left of that, but we don't have any red down in the indicator. So I'm liking it, okay? Cheap stock, not for everybody. We do have a PTF high here of roughly $2.50, and we're at 213. Doesn't knock my socks off. I'm not going to recommend it, but you know, if you wanted to take a short-term trade for a few cents, a scalp market trade, okay, all right, but not for everybody. All right, so that is that. Let's keep going here. Stu, how are you? Stu's back with SWKS rather. All right, Stuart, I don't know if you're long on these, but let us know if you're long or thinking about a long position. Not sure what you're doing with these on here right now. All right, so I'm going to put, we obviously looked at this one before, so let's remove some of this stuff here and clean it up a little bit. All right, and let's go down here, remove those, and we'll remove all of this. Okay, so we're kind of in a bracketed sideways market on the daily chart. We've got kind of a messy market, but we do have a green PTF on the 60-minute chart. And so let's open this up and see what we've kind of got. We don't yet have a green pyramid forming. I don't think I would touch it, okay, because we could stay sideways for a while, all right? And you don't want to waste your capital. So I kind of would not, I don't think I would mess with it. And the green PTF on the 60 is not high enough for enough profit. Let's take a look at GDRX. Okay, so GDRX, this is one, of course, we looked at last week too. We liked it because it moved up off the pyramid here. Notice the pullback, but the bottom held, okay? So let me just redraw that because it looks like it might be a teeny bit off on that bottom. Nope, pretty accurate. Okay, so that's good. All right, so it's the bottom's holding. All right, so you want your stop if you're long on this at the bottom. Target 20 to 20.61 to 31.15. And we're at 6. Nice target, okay? You're getting in early as well. All right, so this is bullish. 60-minute chart is starting to turn bullish, but now we've got a red owl. All right, so I like it except for the red owls on the daily and the 60. So I would wait for those to turn. So let's take a look at this next week. Now, if you're already in it, you got into it early, all right, your stop, keep your stop low where it is when you first got in it. All right, and just you'll probably have no problem being in this trade as it surges forward after whatever pullback it's completing right now. Okay, so okay to stay in it, not okay to go into it. All right, BAND. All right, so BAND now. Here's one we looked at before, and now we're starting to see some decent movement up. So again, we had one small pyramid here, all right? Stop needs to be at the bottom, okay? In the first breakout, never use a base leg stop. Always put it at the bottom. Wait for the pullback, and now once it surges forward again, you can start thinking about moving the stop. So I keep the stop at the bottom until we take out this high here. All right, looks good. All right, 62 to 94 is the target. We're at 18. You cannot ask for a better target in terms of profitability, and you cannot ask for a better risk to reward, because if your stop's at the very bottom at like 916, all right, you can certainly see you've got 2 to 1 to the target. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe an option on this one, okay, since, you know, it's kind of far away from the bottom. All right, so yeah, I'm liking it. Okay, we have a little bit of a pullback. We've had a surge up. This would be what I would consider a long-term trade on this to try to make it. So I'm going to put BAND down as a buy, okay, long-term, all right? And you want to put your stop let's see where you could realistically put your stop on this one. You got a high. I think you could probably put it right under this pyramid. I think you'd be safe now to do that. So that's a low of what? 2098. So it's an 1881. So only 2098 is, I think, needed. If you want to be safe, super safe, and put it at the bottom, okay. But your trade size is going to go way down. So that's kind of where I keep it. Now you cleared this resistance level here. You had a decent pullback here and a bounce off there. So I think you're okay. All right, with that stop. So band I like. All right, good job on that. Frank, how are you? Mara, M-A-R-A. Mara. Okay, so let's see how this one's doing here. All right, now I don't know, Frank, I can't remember if you were long or short on this one. All right, so definitely, think about that. All right, so I probably at this time, let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly chart. All right, so we had a pullback area here. We've reached it. Okay, so that's a good sign. Now, where is it going? That's the question. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this here and open up this. Probably your stop needs to be at this pyramid here, okay, if you're long, okay? Don't think you should be short here at all, okay? Because we no longer have a reason to be short. We pulled back already, okay? So I'm not going to recommend it for a long trade and nor a short trade, okay? And if you're in it already and you're long, and you're holding it long term, then you use the pyramid stop on the weekly. If you're in it long on the daily, at this particular point, you could micromanage it with the 60-minute chart and get out when the PTF turns yellow on the next high above this price bar at 2308. So 2309-ish is the best you could expect. All right, so that is that one. All right, let's keep going. Frank is back with Ring, RNG. All right, so I'm going to open up the weekly chart first and notice the basing pattern. So this is what you got to be careful of when you're looking at getting in early. You have to be careful with the fact that these basing patterns can last a long time. So if you go in and you get stuck in that, sometimes that's part of doing business, all right, because you're getting in early. You hopefully will get rewarded later on. But we try to eliminate that as best as possible. Now, notice that here, this pyramid was bullish, but we had a red owl here. So that's kind of why I like to wait for those owls to turn. And also, too, if you went in here, your stop would be at the bottom. You would have been stopped out. All right, so that wouldn't have worked out. So now you have to reset. I don't see enough bullishness in this market yet to go long on the weekly chart. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. All right, now. This one's a little different story, but it's already close to the PTF high of 44. So that would actually be good follow through if we got up to 44. I'd like it to go above here at the least before I consider a long trade on it. And that is what, 38.10. So this is 44. Okay. All right. So it looks like it's going to take that out. And then we have to think about where's the target going to be. And the target would be pretty significant. So, all right, let's see here. I don't know if we've taken this top out here. So let's micromanage this a little bit here. Looks like we have. Okay, so this would be your stop loss level here. So if you wanted to go in here, all right, there's not enough risk to reward to make it to the PTF top here. However, all right, then that may set yourself up for a good trade to a much longer term target, which would be somewhere between here and here. So 187. So I think you got time. I'd wait this one out. All right. Even if you get in a little, waiting a little bit more for some follow through on the weekly chart, I think it's worth doing because I don't think you want to get stuck, and the risk to reward would still be enough to make the trade worthwhile. Okay. Now, if you're in it already, all right, and your stop is low, you just stay with it, okay? But if you are in a situation where you're thinking about now, probably wait and let it prove itself a little bit more on the weekly. All right, thank you. Okay, let's see. Lowell's back with KR. Kroger Company. All right, nice move up. You're holding. Okay, good job. No reason not to hold here. Okay, target 69.42 to 86. All right, you will get a pullback. Part of the markets. Toughest part about trading is when your market gives you a profit, but the profit potential is not over. But in order to reach the next profit potential requires you to hold during a pullback. Psychologically, that's hard. You know, we just are not wired to give back those profits. But in trading, you have to rewire your mind to be okay with that if your analysis supports it. So keep that in mind. All right, you're going to get a pullback. All right, if you're not comfortable with a pullback and you've got a lot of profit that you want to take off this edge that you maybe have been in since the entire February, because you've gone up, you know, from 45 to 46, then use the pyramid on the chart for the 60-minute chart and get out before the thing declines again. However, okay, if you don't mind holding it and giving a little back, and you'll be rewarded eventually. And again, the target, longer term target or more significant target is 69 to 86. So you still got some room. Okay. So you're going to have to decide how you're going to want to manage that trade. Managing the trade is a whole nother part of the business. You know, you have entries and exits, or exits can help you manage, but there are times when additional management techniques come in. All right, let's open up I&O. All right, so we looked at this one before. Let me get this one up here so we can kind of see it real good. All right, so we got a pyramid, nice pyramid. We've also taken out all the other, the two major or most recent pyramids on the down. We get downside, bearish ones. And now we've got a green owl, no red PTF anymore. We got a significant target at 90.50. Nice move off the bottom, early entry. I'm liking that. All right, and we've got support here. Now, doesn't mean it's not going to pull back, but I'm going to recommend this one now because I think this has got a lot of flow left. All right, so I&O, again, kind of long term, but and we have bearish divergence building here. Here it is right here. Okay, so you're seeing that. So a little pullback and then go, but you know, long term, I think you're good. All right, because you just got hit on the pyramid here, so I'm going to recommend it. All right, and we got green PTF on the 60-minute. So this is kind of one of these things that if you gotten in earlier on the daily chart, great, but it's a perfect entry on the weekly chart. So I'm going to recommend it as a long term. All right, now let's keep going here. All right, owl, like our owl indicator. All right, Eleanor, this is for you. Okay, long, great. All right, no reason not to be long. Doesn't mean you're not going to get one of those profit-taking pullbacks, but if you're on the weekly chart, we've got a green PTF, so more highs coming, and I think more short-term highs coming. However, okay, we have bearish divergence building, and you have to be careful. This is yellow now, just turned yellow. This is still green, so probably another high here, and then I think probably a pullback, something like this, and then more highs. Long as, because look at the owl on this. That's a major wave 3. So any pullback here, I don't think is going to be a major 4 on this time frame. So it's going to be on this time frame. So, for example, I think it may be a little too early to draw this in, but I'll draw them in anyway, just to give you an idea. So if the market sold off from here, it's very possible it could go down to 15 to 13 before returning and making new highs. Okay, so again, the pyramid's pretty low in the weekly chart to keep you in any pullback, which it should be. The daily chart's already got you out. Okay, so because the pyramid's been hit, the base leg has been hit. Nice profit, but you're out. Okay, so you're going to have to manage that whether it's a long term or not. Okay, all right, ANET. And this is kind of typical. This is what we're seeing on all the charts, basically. We're due for a pullback. We really haven't gotten much of a pullback on some stocks. We're seeing it on Bitcoin, but not on some of the stocks here. So, and look at the owls on these weekly charts. Almost all these stocks we're looking. Look how powerful that is with a green PTF. So any pullback, there's a 75% probability that the market's going to return and make new highs. And I don't see that happening by April, the mid-April, which is what everybody's so afraid about. So that's the situation there. Okay. So in this case here, I would say the market's got more bullishness left in it till the end of the year. But yes, we're going to get a profit-taking pullback. So again, no problem holding this. All right, maybe, if you want, you got a green PTF here. So if you want to put a stop now on this leg here and not want to be stuck in a profit-taking pullback, you could do that. Otherwise, no reason not to hold it. But just realize that all these holds will experience a slight pullback, but it shouldn't be a bear market. All right, so GTC, same thing. Okay, same type of thing. Pyramid would have had you out here, but if you were long-term, you'd still be in. So the chart on the far right, look at the owl again. Look at that with the green PTF. So if you get in early, you can have the luxury of getting these stops far enough back on long-term plays, not for it to bother you. But look at the trade here. I mean, what a wonderful trade this was, okay? So, but you'll be out of the market now if you were trading that type of time frame. So it all depends. So if you're long, I think you can hold it long. But yeah, you pull back might come down a little bit more, but I think you're pretty good, okay? All right, GTC is your next one. All right, and look at that, okay? Again, I guess we looked at that one, okay? So there it is, okay? So very similar type of markets all across the board, right? Okay, so good. All right, NVIDIA, Bradley, we looked at that one already. I'm sorry, not NVIDIA, mRNA, we did not look at that one. All right, Bradley, let's say buy long. So he's thinking about a long position here. Let's take a look. All right, I'm going to open up that weekly chart for you. And we got a nice green PTF. We got a bullish pyramid setting up. All right, so if your intentions are to hold this for quite some time, then you want to wait for that pyramid to get hit. Okay, so wait for that to turn green. And then put your stop either at the bottom of the pyramid or at the bottom. And you could probably even do an option. Do a leap long term on that one. All right, so this here, again, depends on your style and your holding time. So we've got a green PTF and a green owl now on the 60-minute. Let's just make sure we hit the target for the pullback. And we did. So that's nice. Okay. You've got an early entry off the bottom here. So yeah, let's get a more precise target on this. Let's do an extension here from here to here to here. So your target's 114, 122 before we'll get another pullback. All right, so I'll leave that up to you. Otherwise, I would say wait till that pyramid gets triggered on the weekly chart and then hold it for a long time, and you should be pretty happy. Okay. All right. So let's see. Al, we're back to you. LAB. All right. LAB. And let's take a look at the weekly chart. All right. So I'm going to open this up. All right. So in this case here, trickling off the bottom, this bottom has so far held. Okay. So again, you got to keep the stops low. I would not move the stop up until we breach this area. So we breached here, so your stop could be here. Okay. And that would have kept you in. So at this particular point, once we begin now, the next big breakout, that should be pretty significant. So I'm liking that. Just want to make sure you don't get too far stuck in here. But I'm liking that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And no good. Okay, red PTF. Can't go long on a red PTF. So no go on that. Okay. All right, so that's that. Okay, ARBE. So no trade on that. All right, let's take a look at this one and see what comes up on this. Let me just reset these down at the bottom here. Okay, so on this one here, no long here either, okay? It has to prove itself a little bit more, okay? Wait on that one. Okay, all right. GCI. Okay, let's see. Green PTF, I like that. All right, this is a little different because we had some activity here. Oh boy, we kind of got a channel though. This was a nice breakout here, pulled all the way back. This bottom held. Let's put a horizontal line at that bottom. That's a big deal that held. All right, and we no longer have a red PTF. So, okay, all right, not bad. I'd like to see a little bit of a breakout from this channel, but okay. All right, and we got a red PTF on the 60 minutes. So hold off on this one, okay? You can bring this one next week. Let's see if we get some follow through on that, okay? All right, back to Frank. No position on Frank. That was one we looked at before. William, let's see what we got here. EX, I don't think we've looked at this one before. AI. All right, let's see what we got cooking on this one. All right, so this one came way down, basing. We got some pyramids triggered here. All right, again, if you make any entry here, all right, until you get over this top here, keep your stop down here, okay? So if you're in it, stop's got to be here, okay? You want to keep it at the very bottom because we've got a lot of sideways volatility. All right, okay, so let me check and see what's going on here. All right, I'd like it to move up again past this price bar on the weekly chart. Let's get it above 791 before we get into it on a long trade. Okay, a lot of volatility at the lower time frames. Okay, so hold off on that one, but keep an eye on that mark and bring it back next week. So EXAI could be a good one. There's not a lot of history, so it's tough to get an Elliott wave on the weekly. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. You guys are really coming up with great ones, okay? ORA. We're being very selective, and I think we have to be because if we're looking at some type of pullback, not a bear market, but a pullback, we don't want to get caught in the pullback on a long position. All right, so let's see, curious. Okay, so you're curious on these. All right, bearish still on the weekly chart, okay? So we're coming down on that one. I don't see an opportunity to the long side, nor do I really see one on the short side at this point. All right, CLNE. And there will come a time when we start talking about short trades, okay? Not yet, though. All right, this one's coming down, still active pyramids on the daily and the weekly. You can see them. Green PTF, so when this thing finally does bottom, that will help us with the target, but we're not there yet, okay? So nothing on that. And plug, PLUG, similar thing. Red PTF on the daily chart keeps me from going long, even if I got a bullish pyramid. So we got to wait for that to change. And again, the setup is setting up. There's no question about the potential here for a long trade. But let's wait, okay? So, you know, I would put this on a watch list. All these ones that are not quite ready but are basing, nothing wrong with keeping those on a watch list, okay? All right, and Al is back with WH. Okay, short. Okay, there you go. All right, can't recommend a short, Al, and right away the PTF on the 60-minute chart jumps out and tells me no short. Okay, so I got to wait on that one. VCH. All right, let's see what we got here. This is a different story. Boy, too bad we got the gap down because, you know, when you get a gap, the tendency to fill that gap before it continues in the direction is quite high. So it kind of, what it does is it kind of makes it difficult for stop loss placement. So your stop would have to be at least 23 on this, and we're at 21.28 in order to survive that. I think I'd take it one step further and draw fibs. And okay, so that pyramid on the 60-minute should be okay. Where's our target? That doesn't help us. This one is the only one that I think is worth it. So, all right. So, okay. So you got a couple things to think about here. If this is the beginning of the move down, then probably what you want to do is put that stop, because this is the first big breakdown. So that top out. Okay. So I think you could use this pyramid here. Okay. And yes, I would put this as a short. Okay, BCH short, but you're going to have to hold it a while because the target is based off this PTF on the weekly chart. All right, so I think I have to move that in a second because it's way down here. Actually, that's our target. So pretty good. Now, with these PTF short trades, the success will all depend on where your stop is. Because the PTF can be right, but if your stop's too close and you get wiggled out of the position, then it does you no good, right? Because you'll be at a loss. So in a case like this, the higher you can put your stop, the more probability you'll get closer to the PTF's probability, right? So you just don't want to get wiggled out. But I would do a short trade on that, okay? Minimum, I think the pyramid over here, ideally, you got a 2-to-1, even if the stop is above here. So, 22, let me just make sure I get the high, 24.10. So put your stop at 24. Let's put it at 24.15, okay, for this to have the highest probability of success. All right. If you want to feel a little chancy and lower your stop, you can use the pyramid here on the 60-minute chart, which has a high of 22.74. So say 22.80, okay? And your target is down here at a low of 15, okay? So that's kind of where we're shooting for, and that's good 2-to-1. I'd say that's 3-to-1. So I'm liking that one a lot, okay? That's a short trade. All right, so that will, if the market does go into a profit-taking mode in general, this will be the right place to be, all right? MUC, let's see that one for a short trade. All right. So now Al, in all honesty, Al has our software, so he can look at the PTFs, which is probably why he's looking at these. Okay, so here we have the PTF target down here. That makes sense. 9.19, we're at 11. All right, the stop, I like the other one better, okay? Simply because we haven't rolled over enough on the daily chart. We do have red here. That's a good sign. We could be, you'd have to get in early, okay? I think I'd want to put my stop back here though, Al, okay? So maybe a little higher, in that range there, and then calculate your trade size. Now, let me just do a couple of other little checks here. This is why I don't like this one as much as the other one. Because if we draw the fibs in, if we are going into a correction now, then we'll get up to that target zone, which will stop us out. So I probably am not going to recommend this one, okay? And then I would take a short position if it gets into that target and we still see the PTF being red on the weekly, okay? So I don't like that as much as the other one, BCH, okay? All right, let's keep going here. QSI. All right, QSI for a long. All right, so look, we got a setup occurring here. Still have a red owl there. Looks pretty good here. All right, so 244. Just thinking. We're coming down a little bit. We've had a number of price bars in a row and a red owl here. Let's look at this next week. I'm not sure it's not done coming down, okay? And in the penny stocks, you got to be careful about that. All right, so let's come back, all right, next week. Let's look at your next one, MAPS. All right, again, a penny stock. All right, so let's open this up here, coming off the bottom. All right, we've taken out the P pyramid. We've gotten a new one here. Okay, all right, so that's not bad. Still have a red owl, okay? So definitely, there's nothing wrong with looking at these early. I like the fact that you do that because that is how you find the best ones. This is interesting, okay? So we've got a green PTF with a profit high here of 190. That's significant. That's significant. We no longer have an active P, and we have green and green. All right. So if you want to take kind of a flyer here, this is not a bad one. All right. I'm going to recommend those that want a high return probability on it. So MAPS is okay. All right. PTF target is 188. So at 189, you got to be looking to get out. Let's see where we're going to put our stop here. So the price is 104. We put it to stop at 70, which is far away. Then you still have a 2-to-1, I think, to the target without a problem. Okay. If you put it here at 0.78, all right, obviously that's better, higher trade size. But, and I think you can do that because you have a higher high here. So let's go ahead and put the stop here. Now, if you want to put it lower at the bottom, you certainly could do that. But that stop right there should be okay. And notice the distance from where prices are now to where we think they're going, which is going to be way up here, right? Okay. So that's obviously a 2-to-1. So that's okay. All right. MAPS is okay. All right. Let's take a look at RZLI. So that's going on the recommended list today. RZL, did I type that in correctly? RZ, no. Yeah, I think I did. Let me do it again. Not getting data for this one. Check that one, okay? All right, so let's take a look for RUM for short. Looked at this one last week, as I recall. All right, so, okay, let me just take a look. All right, so we got a green pyramid on the weekly chart now, and we've got a green owl, so no short. All right. As Gene says, MAPS is a winner and a high probability trade. Okay, good. All right, anybody else? Let's run over and see how Bitcoin is doing here. Okay, so that's come down a little bit more here. Yeah, it's pretty much inside price bar. Red PTF, so Bitcoin's not done coming down yet. All right, let's see what, okay. RA, that one that was RZLT, okay? So let's take a look. That's the one Al wanted to look at before. All right, so let's take a look at this one. All right, we'll open up, Al, the weekly chart. Okay, nice. All right, we had a little bit of a basing, but we're pulling off there. All right, so we took off the pyramid here. That's good. We got green and green. That's good. We got some support levels that have not been broken yet. There's your first one. There's your more significant one. So really, any movement in between here and this red line here is kind of a channeling movement. So you got to be careful not to get stuck in it because you can get stuck in these channels a long time. And the PTF high is not going to take you out of the channel because the PTF is saying the highest high in there is this price bar, 214. And this channel is way up there above like 290 something. All right. So, okay. All right. So let's just see what the lower time frames are showing. All right. So we're definitely getting a breakout. Okay. There's no question about it. But is this a breakout to the upper part of the channel that we're kind of in already? Or is this a breakout? I don't think I would take a long trade on this. It's too late on the daily chart because it would have been better if you're going to take this flyer to be in here. But if you're taking a long-term trade, it's too early. and it's too late there. So I'd let that one pass, okay? I get it. I get why you're looking at it. I put it on a watch list, and we'll come back to it, okay? All right, anybody else? You know, the process of finding good stocks is this process. You got to look at the charts, look at your tools, analyze them. I like the 3 time frames because it gives me a different vantage point on the same stock across a broader spectrum. And from there, I can decide what's going on and make my decision. Now, what's interesting is that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 today. All right, so that's good. All right, let me just wait a little bit longer and see if there's anybody else out there. Okay, looks like I think we've come to the end. Okay, and we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes, so that's normal. All right, let's review. So, all right, so really, we looked at a lot of stocks today. We came up with 4. We got BAND for long term, okay? INO, long term, BCH, which is a immediate short trade. So I like that one. Al found that one, and that's pretty good. MAPS, MAPS is another long trade. On the watch list for today, TLRY, ACB, FFIV, MRVL, Marvel, BROS, GDRX, plug, PLUG, QSI, and the last one we looked at, RZLP. So we'll bring those back and take a look next week. So what I'm seeing in the market, strong weekly charts, but we're due for a pullback. And so after that pullback, we should see more highs. So again, like I'm saying, I don't see a bear market this spring at all, okay? I see a pullback and then a continuation with the bull market. Same thing with Bitcoin. I see a pullback that's still underway. The pullback's already started in Bitcoin. You know, they have the halving coming up. And then after that, usually within 90 days after the halving, you get the next big bull run. So we're probably in the midst of all that. I see it as an accumulation opportunity. All right. But you got to hold it, be able to hold that for a little while to get that next boost up after the halving. And in stocks here, I don't see a top being reached probably until the end of the year. Maybe, like I said before, slightly bleeding over to 2025. We'll have to see. And if you think about it, we got an election year, right? So the Fed's going to do everything they possibly can to keep the market stable. And we'll see. I mean, they'll probably reduce the rates 25 basis points sometime during the summer here. And that will be looked as optimistically. So I think probably that's going to unfold during the summer and keep the market chugging along until we eventually reach the significant top that's not too far off later this year. So long term, I'm bearish on the market. Short term, till the end of the year, I'm bullish. I think that's the best way to sum it up. All right. So I want to really thank everybody from coming up. Like I always do at the end of the session here, I turn it over to the lower time frames, the day trading time frames, and then close the room. That way you can watch the prices go up and down and so forth. All right, so great session today. Awesome amount of stocks we looked at. I love that. That's the way you find the best ones. And we'll see you back here next Friday, okay? So thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I'll put it back on full screen here. And I'm going to also put up some of the short day trading time frames. So, you know, we still use the same 3 types of charts. The only difference is we got the 15-second chart here, a whopping 1 minute here, and our long-term chart is a whopping 5 minutes. So every price bar here is 5 minutes, 1 minute, 15 seconds. And that may sound really short, but and it is, but when you're looking at specific setups, sometimes you even have to wait 45 minutes on these time frames to get the right setup. Now, obviously, this happens to be the futures market. So basically, our day trading room, we always trade the futures markets there. And obviously, it's too late. A great short trade earlier in the day, but we're not going to chase that market. And so we'll just play around. Here's the MES. All right, this is heading back down again. We still got a red PTF here, so probably more lows on that one. And let's take a look at gold's come down. But you can see if you time these intraday swings correctly, you can do well in a very short period of time. So there are intraday swing trades to take, just like we do on longer time frames. So it's kind of fun. Here's another fun one we like to look at is, this is natural gas, okay? So this is the kind of natural gas, kind of stuck in a channel, so not much opportunity there. All right, let's see what we've got. Copper, okay, here's copper market. And oil, I think we looked at already. There's the oil market. Notice the red PTFs. So you wouldn't want to be looking for a long trade here. You'd want to be focusing on a short trade. And then, of course, getting in at the best possible time. All right, here's the Dow. All right, notice the Dow. Beautiful short trade at the open here. All right, all the way down, okay? And M&Q, this is kind of a messier market right now, but it should resolve eventually to the downside with a little bit more upside short term, okay? M2K, this is the Russell. Nice trade to the short side, still active. Stop would be at this pyramid. All right, so a little late to join the party now, I think. Let's draw some fib extensions and see possibly where a target is. So, you know, when you day trade and you have all these markets to look at, actually not. You could take that to the short side probably right now. All right, so basically when you look at these markets, you know, we have, you know, a handful of these futures markets to look at. Then we look for the ones that have the most potential risk to reward of at least 2 to 1, like this trade. And you look for a clear Elliott wave like this one. And that's how you do it. And until you get something clear, you don't trade it. All right, so this is fairly clear, okay? Your stop on this method here, it has to be at least at this pyramid. Again, the ideal trade on this would have been at the pyramid because you had red here. All right, you had red here, so that would have been ideal. You had red there, so your stop would have been here, okay? So if we'd gotten in here, that's where the stop would be, an ABC correction, and so it's looking pretty good. Now, let's just make sure one more thing here. Let's make sure this did retrace enough. A little shy on the retracement, so that's the risk in the trade. So if this is a broader, this should be an ABC Elliott wave correction. This is at least the distance of that, so that's okay, but it could be a broader based ABC. So if we get stopped out, then we'd wait for this to get into the target and try again. All right, but it's worth taking the trade now because you got a pyramid. You got in between this area here where 15% of the time on strong trends. Okay, that's all you get. So the trade should have been taken. Okay, so that's kind of it. Thanks everybody for coming, and I'll put a little music on and we'll close the room in just a bit. Have a great weekend.